Hello and welcome to the Middle East Forum Speaker Webinar Series and Podcast. I'm Stacey Roman and I will be moderating this discussion today. We are pleased to have Nizar Hakka, founder of Hostage Aid Worldwide, after having survived his own kidnapping by the IRGC, join us to discuss Iran and hostage diplomacy. Mr. Zakka will speak for 15 minutes, followed by 15 minutes of Q&A from the audience. Should you wish to ask a question, please use the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen. And with that, I will turn the discussion over to Mr. Nizar Hakka.
Hello. Thank you for having me. So, first, if we go back, the hostage taking in Iran has been an industry. It's a business model that have been since 1979, since the start of the Islamic Revolution. They started with hostage taking, and they have benefited, and that has continued and developed. The practice has developed as we move on. So they had two objectives out of this hostage taking. Objective one was to make sure to get concessions from the West. And the second thing was to limit the openness of the Iranian society to the West as well. So starting with the 1979 kidnapping, all the way to using the proxy for kidnapping. And as we move on, they start all the way till most recently, the $1.7 billion swap in 2016, and till recently, the $6 billion swap in 2023. All these cases shows how the Iranian regime has played with the West, because the same happened in Belgium with release Assadullah Assadi recently, the terrorist who wanted to blow the convention center in Paris for the Iranian opposition. So, having said all this, we see today that they have two objectives. Objective one is to get concessions. Objective two is to get openness in Iran. In over the years, you will see that the Iranian regime has developed this practice. It started with the student in 1979, then it moved to using the proxies like Hezbollah in Lebanon and taking the Western hostages, and then all the way till today. It developed into different stages. Today, hostage taking is step one is identifying a profile of a person, then taking him hostage. Then step two will be to arrest him and to take him hostage and to make a sham trial. Then we go to phase three, which is promoting the hostage in order to make sure they can get, and they use the marketing in different ways. Sometimes they promote, sometimes they don't, but they market the product in order to get the highest price out of it. And step four, and the phase four, is the swap. So we will see how Iran, and each phase of these phases has its own people, even though behind the scene are the same players who are the same team who's playing everybody, but different faces. You will see during the sham trial, you will have some judge like Judge Salawati. During the negotiation, we used to have Zarif to negotiate. So it's a different game, and they play with each country separately. They play with France. They do not negotiate with everybody together. So we will see this practice ongoing, and the West not fighting it properly, except using the same method of sanctions and some other diplomatic approach and this. So this is from one part, but the part that is more interesting is the part that is about openness, because Iran believes that the Islamic Revolution, the most danger you can get to the Islamic Revolution is if you get it through openness, and that's why they try to use hostage taking by preventing companies, foreigners to go to Iran to do business, to interact with the society, and this is the area that is the most interesting. So, if I go to my case specifically, I was the chairman of the public policy of the World ICT organization, and as well, I was at the same time I was a vice chairman of the World Technology Organization. So I had a big role. I was speaking all around the world about technology, about internet freedom, and and I was invited multiple times by the Iranian ICT organization or by the Iranian government to speak in Iran about the role of technology, about how the private sector of Iran can improve. It was really good. It was 2015. It was during the JCPOA in July to be signed. It was the whole world was focusing on Iran. Everything looks prosperity looks everywhere. Young generation, highly educated. They're all eager to interact with the world. So everything was perfect. But this is something that the IRGC, like the Revolutionary Guard of Iran, wasn't on their mind. They didn't want this openness to happen. So in September of 2015, I was invited to speak in Iran on women empowerment and to address workshops for the Iranian technology private sector. During this trip, it was very successful. And on my way back, it was 4 days trip. I was an official guest of Iran. On my way back to the airport, they stopped me, a car, blindfolded me, took me hostage for 4 years. So the objective of Iran at that time was to stop any openness. Before September 2015, every single company in the US or around the world would love to talk to Iran, to go to Iran, to open new large 80 million market. So it's very, very important. So everybody will give you, any CEO in the US will give you the 5 minutes to speak about Iran, everyone. So I went, I was cooperating also with Microsoft, Cisco, Intel, all these big companies. So Iran took me hostage while I was there. It was a very clear message before ratifying the agreement between the P5+1 and Iran. It was supposed to be in January 2016. So they took me before, making sure that even if they will sign and ratify this agreement, no openness will happen to it between Iran and the West. And they were successful. They took me. And 4 months later, it was in mid-January 2016, the agreement was signed, ratified by the UN, and a swap of $1.7 billion happened between hostages and Iran. All this happened, but no company came back because they made it very clear by taking me representing the ICT sector, the technology sector, that we are not open for any business. And they have been very successful in this. So this is how they see things. We see two different ways. We have a two different approach. And I believe the West hasn't been very smart in the approach. First, we never took into consideration that we look at time in a different way than the Iranian look at it. The Iran look at time in a different perception completely. So time is not like so important. And they play the game of time, and they try to negotiate each one separately, each country separately. So I don't see a possibility. I see that this price of swap or whatever is going to go and keep on going unless the whole world will unify or will have a global declaration about hostage taking, fighting hostage taking. And this has to become in a way by bringing the multi-stakeholders all together in order to fight, to stand together against any hostage taking. You know, everything has been tested directly with Iran. Each country tested this with Iran, but they never tested it together. So IRGC is playing Iran perfectly. So IRGC is trying to one day the IRGC playing the West perfectly. One day they take the French, one takes the Swiss, every time they have a country that they take their hostages and they release, and the French or this country thinks that they have a very skilled negotiation. In fact, the IRGC is the one who is giving this credit to this country or to this country to release their hostages. The only way we can do that is by having a multi-stakeholder where we bring all parts of the society to empower the government to stand, because government, after a few months, they are under a lot of pressure to release their hostages. So what we need to bring all countries together with a buy-in from the stakeholders within each country, like bringing civil society, former hostages, subject matter expert, private sector, and government all together in order to empower the government in order to be firm and to cooperate with other countries in order to take stand against hostage taking. Otherwise, this will keep on going and growing, because they have been so powerful with this, and they are developing new skills in it. Every time they have new techniques, new strategy, and while we don't see it, every single kidnapping has something behind it, has a very clear message being sent to certain people who, even if the countries do not declare it, every single kidnapping is related, or they want to release their terrorists, or they have different objectives to show their power, because some of the kidnapping and the swap gives them power within Iran to this regime, showing them that we are powerful. Look how the West give in to our demands, and this is how, if we want to stop it, we have no other choice. And to fight openness, we need to keep on promoting in every single possible way internet freedom in Iran, getting access to the youth, because the youth really needs the support. And with this openness, we will achieve what usually is achieved by war. But this will be this soft war will be much more productive for Iran, in my opinion. I hope I answered. I talked enough.
Thank you very much. So the first question is from Andrew Rosemarine, a British lawyer, who's helped many Iranian dissidents, asking from the UN in New York. The Iranian government holds us Britons in contempt and keeps British spies far away. Are the British government's weak excuses for not banning the Iranian Revolutionary Guard likely to be a result of Iran buying influence in the British government and its friends?
Well, it has always been first the question about spies. I don't believe anything within all this hostage taking of Iran is related to spies. But I believe that the UK, unless the UK will start cooperating with other countries in order to free their hostages. They have been able to get Anoushi out and to get Nazanin out recently, and this was very successful swap, and we look forward. But you have to have a system that will immediately is triggered once a hostage is taken. Otherwise, we cannot. We need to have a global system. The Canadian has started. They have a declaration that have 71 countries signed, signatory to it, but it doesn't have a straightforward approach. Everybody, it's like you can come in, you can join, you can leave whenever you want. So it's not very powerful, in my opinion. It has to have more commitment from the countries.
On that note, what kind of commitments are you talking about with that?
It's we had recently we worked on a case for Irish felon, an Irish citizen who was taken hostage in Iran. And in a couple of weeks, the Irish government wanted to open an embassy in Iran, and we just started a campaign saying, "Hey, we don't want anything from you, but don't open an embassy." So because otherwise, you're telling the Iranian government, if you want countries to open embassies, just take the citizen hostage. Doesn't make any sense. So we tried this, and the Irish government started taking a very strong and firm stand. So what we believe if it's not only Ireland will take it, if it's a if it's many countries together working and the society coming, connecting with the Iranian civil society and building connection and trying to make it so clear how much damage is happening to the Iranian civil society, to the private sector, to the people because of this hostage taking, then the pressure will be coming to Iran internally as much as it's becoming out from outside world, and really then and of course sanctioning quickly and to all the players into the four phases of hostage taking. If we can sanction individual people, and in fact, if you know the person who took Masumi Ebtikar, it's a vice president who took this in 1979, the U.S. embassy hostage. She was the spokesperson of the students at that time. And her daughter is live in the U.S. and she's studying in the U.S. It doesn't make sense. They need to suffer out of it. They need to feel that when doing something like that, it's going to haunt them for the rest of their life. You cannot do that and get over. So we don't understand why governments are not acting all together in order to stop this business model.
Thank you. Don Sable asks or states, I'm surprised that the U.S. government did not years ago make it illegal to travel to Iran. Do you have any thoughts as to why this has not been done?
Well, I want to be clear about that. I believe the US government or the UK or any government to tell people not, or especially dual nationals who have like family in Iran, not to travel to Iran. It's an easy thing. You're making the dual national pay the price for the lack of actions by our government. Okay, so the U.S. government is not taking actions, saying, "Hey, you just don't travel over there, and then that's it. It's sold." So who's paying the price? It's the poor people who has his father dying, he's going to the funeral, he really needs, he never felt they give him, the regime give you some confidence. What we say sometimes, they give you enough rope to hang yourself. So that's what they do. So I believe no, I don't believe this is a solution. The solution is to have a firm action not to take. So you cannot tell somebody not to travel to Iran and that's it. That's the easy way. No dual national. No, they are citizens, like they have rights and they should travel, see their parents and see their loved one. And if you don't want us to travel, go to war, declare Iran as an enemy country and declare war to Iran, and other countries do the same. But don't tell us, oh no, but we go, we negotiate with them, we do everything, but at the same time don't travel. So the Iranian people will be paying the price, and I don't believe it's fair.
Absolutely. And can you expand upon how that also goes against this openness that you're talking about? Keeping
Exactly.
people, yeah,
exactly. And then stopping the Iranian by going. Iranian is the most Iranian living abroad is a fresh air coming to the people of Iran. They feel that they are connected. That people from outside, what they feel about them. Okay, we disconnect them, and then we leave them. We leave the Iranian population hostage to the IRGC, who is controlling everybody. At least let Iranian living abroad go to Iran, try to connect with the Iranian, and make sure that the Iranian regime, if they will do anything, they will be paying heavily for it.
Thank you. Murdad Kansari asks, based on what you said, the West needs to be comprehensively unified so that it can stand up firmly against the Iranian regime. Nonetheless, you are not suggesting that they should not negotiate at all. Unless the West remains indifferent to the fate of the hostages, something no civilized government can do. What are you suggesting will actually work?
I am not saying not to negotiate. You have to negotiate. You have six, we are, as an organization, we represent former hostages. We are founded by former hostages, all the way from 1979 to today, from all around the world. Anyway, so what we're saying we give the benefit of the doubt to government for 6 months. We stay quiet. We say they're negotiating. After 6 months, families have to talk, have to raise the issues. They have to make a problem. But having said that, nobody is saying that government should not negotiate. We're not saying that, but punishment has to be unified punishment, like going against one against all. But and then I do not recommend that to have West only. It has to be a global convention, a global agreement. Because if you say the West only, then it will look West against whoever. It's not the West against whoever. It's everyone. It's a case for everyone, and this is why we should like when we came. Because my background is internet freedom, and what we did when we wanted to promote internet freedom and when we want to promote internet governance and to make sure internet governance is not controlled by government. We try to bring everybody together because this is something that involves every single person in the world. So even the government will be pressured to open the internet because we cannot allow a government to control to damage society by limiting their access to information and this is what the Iranian regime is doing. They started by doing something called internet halal. They want to do an intranet for Iran, and now they want to disconnect people. And now we are trying to help Iran by telling them, okay, Iran, you cannot go to Iran. No, we have to discuss this. We have to negotiate, but we have to punish. The punishment has to be unified globally.
Thank you. Eric Selkov asks, what do you know about Bob Levinson? Why was he or his body not released by Iran in the recent U.S. deal?
Well, this is a case that it's on the heart of every single person. And Bob Levinson was, we don't know, till today, there is no proof, DNA proof of his death. There is a general understanding because with Bob Levinson, the issue is that Iran never admitted to have him. So still, it's a vague. We know that he's in Iran. We know where he was taken from Kish Island. We know all the details, but still there is no acknowledgement of his taking, and that's why the Iranian regime is saying that we don't know. We believe that if they wanted to, so that's why. And the U.S. government declared him dead a few years ago with the family approval. And we are still looking to have a DNA sample that in order to prove this.
Thank you. So you did mention the 4 stages of the hostage situation, the identifying the profile, arrest, and creating a sham crime. But does this go against the promoting the hostage then? So the end goal? No?
No, because first they want to. It's not. They profile. They profile. This is what they do. They profile somebody. They take him hostage. Then should do a sham trial. But then they want to sell it. They want to do a swap. That's why they start promoting this. And sometimes they do not promote. They do not promote because they believe giving ambiguity. If someone is very important, they will let it keep them like they did with Johan now the European the EU employee, the Swedish EU employee. He hasn't been announced, hasn't been promoted, but definitely it's a big deal to have a UN official, a EU official being taken hostage in Iran.
Thank you. So Don Zabel follows up to his earlier question, but Iran receives money after they take Iranian Americans as hostages, ? So I'm not sure. I guess just how do we stop them getting the money? This business practice, this business model.
Yeah, it is. We're not, as long as we're doing it this way, we will not be able to stop them because they are increasing the amount. Every time it's increased, and now they will tell you in the U.S. Like the U.S. administration will tell you, it's Iran money that was swapped that was given to them indirectly. They cannot spend it except on humanitarian. This is all. Like the administration knows that better than we do. First, convince Iran that they did not get $6 billion for this. First, don't convince us. We are okay. We believe the administration, but convince the Iranian people and Iran that they didn't get $6 billion in return for the hostages. They did. We cannot convince them otherwise. The second, when you give them for humanitarian, okay, so they will buy for 6 billion in humanitarian. According to many Iranians that I talk to, the 6 billion, even if we buy humanitarian, we can sell the humanitarian for 5 billion and get 5 billion in cash to give it to. So this is all. You can dump the product elsewhere, send it to third country, and get the cash and give it to Hezbollah or give it to any country, any proxy. And this is what's going on. And this is not giving Iran 6 billion. This is we don't buy it. And this is why it's going to keep on growing. And the money, if anybody else tomorrow, maybe this guy who's negotiating this time for the 6 billion, next time we have somebody else who will be negotiating for, convince him that he can take less than 1.2 billion per person. Otherwise, his president, like the one before him, he's smarter, he's better. He should be like, he should get more money anyway.
Absolutely. Thank you. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you do with the hostage aid?
What hostage aid we're doing currently, we have a data. We try to collect data from 1978 all the way till today about cases of hostages. We're using AI, and in order to get we have been reviewing over millions of records of cases. We have evaluated like unique case of hostage taking around 7,000 to 8,000 cases and around the world, but it's not only, it's all around the world and for all countries. And these cases we're developing a pattern. And now if you go to we have the app, you can go over there and you can check, check age, gender, reason, whatever, anything. And then we also created another thing. We created a risk predictor. And this one, if you're going anywhere in the world, it will be interesting. If you go, you enter the data you have, and it will give you a signal of how high are you at risk of going to this country because of the different factors based on historic data till today. And it will give you like red, blue, green, whatever colors like represent. So it's an interesting. That's what we do, as well as we try to advocate for hostages. We do campaign to make sure that they're not forgotten. We connect with the families to make sure that the families, because the family is it's something. The first 6 months, the family doesn't know anything, and they don't know, and they are in the hand of governments who all what they want. Governments, it's everywhere in the world is the same. Stay quiet. They don't want anybody to bother them. So as a family, stay quiet. We are working on it. In fact, what the person who's talking to the family, in fact, he has a checkbox. He said, okay, I talked to the family, now they're quiet for 2 months, we're quiet. So this doesn't work this way. We need to have accountability, more accountability to make sure hostages are returned home as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. Thank you. And for our viewers, can you please tell us the website?
It's hostageaid.org. The app is Hostage Aid on Android or iOS.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. We've come to the close of our webinar. Thank you again, Mr. Zakka, for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. For our viewers, please be on the lookout for our weekly webinar offerings email coming out over the weekend. Thank you all for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful day.